Hello Internet, it's AndrewMycol and welcome to today's video. So in today's video, we are indeed going to be checking out how you can set up Xsplit Broadcaster. And let's say if you were using OBS or Streamlabs OBS, one of the two more used programs to stream in or record with, let's say you wanted to find an alternative. Well, Xsplit does offer a really good alternative to streaming and live streaming with a little bit of caveats because there are some things you can and cannot do without the paid thing that you need to do X Broadcaster, including audio mixing, multi-streaming to different platforms, and so on. If you want to go check all of that details out, make sure you go head over to Xsplit. And speaking of Xsplit, Xsplit has a really good Twitter team, and if you have any problems about Xsplit, which I am not sponsored by Xsplit by the way, but if you want to go check out Xsplit, or if you have any questions or concerns, make sure you head over to Twitter and at them on your main page. They will absolutely help you out as much as they can. Speaking about problems, this video is going to tell you 5 things that I have run into, and these are probably more the frequently things you might do or run into while you are streaming. So, how are you able to hear me? How are you able to, get your audio working? How is this down here working? Well, first thing we're going to have to do is I'm going to pull up a display capture. That way you can see exactly what I'm doing. So, if we head over to here, if you want to do a display capture, go to screen capture and then do monitor capture and do desktop 1. As you can see here, now we have our desktop and you're seeing me, which is what I use on Twitch. So if you want to go follow me on there, you can. But as you can see here, all of what I'm using right now. And let's say you want to use the webcam. What you can do is you can go to your webcam, whichever one it is. I'm using the Logitech HD webcam C15, and there are 2 things you want to do. First, you want to head over to this setting right next to this right here, and you want to head here, and you'll be in your general. You see general the first time, then you go to audio immediately. When you go to audio, you'll see your system sound and all that. Normally it will be set to none, or it might be set off to default microphone. What you might want to do is set it to whatever webcam or microphone you're using. I have my microphone in this webcam, which it's a pretty good microphone, by the way. And what I have for the speakers, I have the speakers for the default speakers, and you can always turn this down if you want to, and you can always turn it down here as well. So if I want to go up, if I want to go down, I can. But normally what I do is I set it to that, apply it, and then there you go. Now you're going to be able to hear yourself. Alright, so now the next thing you want to do is you have everything here as well. The next step you want to do is you want to right click it. By the way, this is just like double clicking anything. So if you right click something, you can adjust your volume here. You get your audio input, output. Also, when you're on stream, you want to turn this off because let me show you a painful thing if you do this. Testing. What might happen is if you have it too high, it's going to echo and echo and echo for everyone, and it could cause some ear damage if you're not careful. So what you want to do is you want to turn this off so that way you don't get any echo. And plus, too, you don't need to hear yourself. You can hear yourself in a recording or in your stream, so you don't need this. So you can click off away from that and you'll be able to escape that. But when you're on there, we go back here, audio input, make sure your audio input is the microphone you're using. The output is the system sound. So whenever you are indeed going back and listening to this on a recording, the system sound basically transfers it to your default speakers and you're able to hear yourself, just like in OBS or anywhere else. Now, let's say you have a video card, or when I mean video card, I mean a capture card. So let's say you want to stream some PS4, Xbox, or Nintendo Switch stuff, and you want to be able to get this. So let's say the number 4 thing I would say is how do you use a capture card on Xsplit? The number 5 thing obviously being how to use a webcam or how to set up the audio for a webcam or a microphone. Number 4 is the Game Capture HD 60S video 1. What we have here is for this HD 60S, that's the capture card I use. And let's say if you wanted to have this here, I don't have it with me, but in this audio input, you would select your Game Capture HD 6. That way you can get your audio here, and you might want to turn this on so that way you can hear it and you can hear what you're doing. And over here, this will make sure nothing is doubled, so you won't have the echoey effect as well. So the only thing you'll be able to hear is your capture card and how you're going to be able to hear that as well. So if we go over to here, there's another way you can do this as well. It's the same thing here. You can turn off the speaker here and you can turn it on here. That way you can hear it through wherever you're recording, and that way it won't be as loud. Or if you want to make it a little bit silent, by default, you can turn this off and have your game capture HD 60s. You can turn this on so you can hear it. But let's say if you're reacting to a YouTube video, let's say this one right here. Let's say if you want to hear it, what you want to go to wherever it is right here. And to hear it, you want to be able to turn this on. When you turn this on, that'll make it to where you can hear it. But then to make sure it's not doubled, you want to make sure that, you want to make sure this is turned on or off. You want to make sure it's off, so that way it doesn't double itself, and you can hear this, and that way it won't double itself. The first time on this channel, let me describe to you a little bit what we do here. Okay, so as you can see, now we have sound from the YouTube video or capture card that we are doing, and by the way, this is my YouTube channel from, well, you know where it is, and if you want to subscribe, make sure you do that. Alright, so the number 3 thing we've actually already figured out was how to set up the audio, and number 2 is how do you get your bandwidth to work. Or bandwidth, I also mean your bitrate. Let's say you have yourself here. The next thing you want to do is, let's say you want to move this. Oh, by the way, one more thing. If you're wanting to select something or move something around, make sure you select it here. That way you can drag it, however, because if you do it like this, it's going to click the wrong thing. So if you wanted to, make sure you click that and then move it. And if you want to shift something around, instead of having to use the shift key, you have to use the alt key like you normally would. That way you can make yourself a little box like I normally would. That way you can cut out whatever you need. And there you go, same thing with that. Shift in this case does nothing except move it around. So if you want to shift anything, literally, you're going to have to use Alt. Now the third thing is the bitrate. How are we getting this up here? Now, normally what everyone has seen from when I was streaming on Friday and Saturday was that on OBS, my bitrate for some reason was literally going out of control. And as we can see it, I'm going to pull this up. And I'm going to Alt this. You can see this. I'm going to do. As you can see up here, we have our frame rates, and up here as well. Now, for some reason, whenever I was streaming, this dropped on OBS, and Streamlabs would be up, which means we were getting a lot of lag. But in XSplit, it does things a little bit differently, and I did not import my settings from OBS and Streamlabs, meaning I was starting fresh with XSplit. So it's probably something in my settings that's doing this, but if you want it like this, basically, sometimes your frame's encoded, or let's say if you're streaming, what XSplit does is that it reaches a certain bandwidth, and it reaches a certain range of what your bit rate is, and it keeps it in that range, and it never reaches 0, so sometimes it might get a little bit laggy depending on what you're doing. But if you keep it at a certain bit rate, and you keep that stress down low, then it will have no problem. And I'm streaming at 480p 30 FPS because of my bit rate. And how do you exactly know what your bit rate is? Your bit rate is your upload speed in kilobytes per second. Whatever your kilobyte per second speed is what you use for your bit rate. Which, by the way, all of your settings for how to stream, how to do any of that can be found in this broadcast tab. So if we go to broadcast, and this is my Twitch username, of course. Also, when you're alt shifting, you want to make sure you're holding down Alt. Boom. Alright, so now we've already resized it. So let's say if you are just starting to do a Twitch stream. Let's say if you've never set up any of this. What you can do is go to web authentication. I'll make sure to edit that out. Make sure to tell myself, edit that out. And as you can see, we have web authentication, all this, and server, and all that. So basically, your account is going to be set up through XSplit. So one thing you can do to make sure you stream through this is you can have your settings here. You can have your server, and you tell this test bandwidth what server fits you the best. Here you can have your bitrate, all that, and all that. We have your stream key. Do is add your username. Once you've done that, then you add your stream key. And obviously, I'm going to edit this part out where it has the stream key. I'll put something there so you can't see that. And so what you'll see is now we are going to be done doing that. I'm just going to say that, but we haven't set it up yet, so obviously can't do anything. And that's pretty much your third thing. Now the second thing is, what about an overlay, and what about images? So one thing I was asked whenever I was helping someone set up their Streamlabs was, how do I set up overlays? Now, sometimes depending on what your overlay is, if your overlay is an image itself, then you would want to use a image source, or here in this case you want to use a media file and choose what your image is, and then there is a chroma key. So let's say if you want to edit out a green screen, or let's say if you want to edit out all that, you can use the chroma key. Let's say if I go to my picture here, I have color, then when you go to color, chroma key, and you set to whatever color it is, and then it boom, cuts it out. Same thing with everything else. Now, the number one thing I'm pretty sure everyone's probably going to be asked is, how exactly do you get alerts, or how exactly do you get all that? That's pretty much the top 4 that I've come across. One being, how do you edit your alt key? How do you do image sourcing? How do you do the overlays and all that? How do you get your things through that? That's through Streamlabs, and Streamlabs goes into really good details of how to set all that up. It's nothing really different. So that's pretty much all the basics I have, are how you get your widgets up here. How you get your widgets, the same thing through a browser source. Now, to me, if you wanted to use a Windows source, you could, but let's say if you're watching YouTube videos, then what you could do is you can obviously use a browser source, and just like on OBS, you can use a scrolling thing, and you can adjust your window how you would want to. Same thing with anything else. You just use a browser source, right-click it, go to HTML, system sound, make sure that's on, and then you just apply it to whatever you're doing. So those are the top 5 things I've been asked. If there's anything that I've missed, make sure you comment down below, because then I should be able to answer them. If not, make sure you contact Xsplit on Twitter. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you leave a like. Also, comment down below if you've had any problems with OBS, and if you might be using the Xsplit Broadcaster, then let me know in the comment section down below. And until next time, I'm AndrewMycol, and I'll see you guys next time. Thumbs up.
This is just an outro.